Twyfelfontein. In Afrikaans, it means uncertain spring. It is home to one of the largest concentrations of rock art in Africa. Located in the northwest region of Namibia, the art is thought to have been made around 5,000 years ago, at a time when the climate was even drier than present. And yet people existed within this arid landscape, congregating near the spring. Their ritual traditions represented in the rock art of Twyfelfontein. Here, hunter-gatherers developed and perfected a wide range of economic strategies, aiding their survival. While some painted rock art can be found, it is engravings that dominate the art. They are located in several loose conglomerations, and the execution of the engravings is varied, with several different distinct styles. Some of the figurative depictions are shown with naturalistic outlines. Prominent among the engravings are the many depictions of giraffe. They feature more than any other animal and still range across present-day Namibia. It is an animal that seems to have held deep cultural significance for the region's indigenous communities. Along with the images of giraffe, the figurative art continues as we find rhinoceros, ostrich, and zebra carved into the sandstone surfaces. The artists depicted the animals they shared the landscape with. Twyfelfontein sandstone is a hard, coarse-grained quartzitic material, and distinct engraving techniques were used to create the art. In some places, shallow incising was used to define the outline of animals. Elsewhere, we find a deeper engraving technique, as seen here in an anatomically correct form of a rhino. Another example of the techniques used by the artists is found at one of the most famous engravings, the Lion Man. Here, false shading is used to leave the natural rock cortex intact on the shoulders and flanks of the lion. It creates for the viewer the illusion of depth. The giraffe immediately behind the lion was done with the same technique, but the rest of the panel, including zebra, rhino, cattle, and various antelope, all show use of the more commonplace, shallow incising. The lion occupied a special place in the ritual life of Southern African hunter-gatherers. Folklore is replete with lion stories, and these often refer to the ability of shamans to become lions, or at least take on some of their characteristics. When we look more closely at the Lion Man engraving, we see its paws have 5 rather than the correct 4 toes. This has been interpreted as a human shaman in trance, who has transformed and taken on the form of a lion. The depiction of a paw at the end of the lion's tail is another important aspect of the engraving. When shamans are in trance, they sometimes experienced what is known as polymylia, the possession of extra limbs. This is a form of somatic hallucination in which things are felt rather than imagined. The tail of the lion is taken as the extra limb, and it is interesting to note that lions do occasionally show a claw-like growth near the end of their tail. This engraving illustrates both the influence of trance experience on the art and the artist's highly detailed knowledge of the animal. The dancing Kudu is another example of Twyfelfontein's fascinating rock art. The engraving is rendered atop a flat slab of rock, surrounded by geometric shapes. The kudu, a species of antelope found throughout eastern and southern Africa, is not an animal commonly represented in the rock art of Twyfelfontein. A technique of polishing rather than chipping was used on the engraving. It appears that the kudu figure is pregnant. It has been suggested that this choice of animal may have been made in relation to female initiation practices. This is because the female kudu has a symbolic importance relating to women's behavior in the cosmology of some San people. The San are the hunter-gatherer people whose ancestors are thought to have made most of southern Africa's rock art. Around 50,000 people a year visit Twyfelfontein, inspired by the ancient rock art and the beauty of Namibia's rich cultural heritage. In 1952, the site was made a national monument. A visitor center was constructed in compliance with the UNESCO World Charter, with pathways and guided routes, along with viewing platforms installed to aid the protection of the rock art. On the 28th of June, 2007, Twyfelfontein was inscribed to the World Heritage List by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. UNESCO World Heritage Sites are found throughout the world. They all have such exceptional cultural or natural value that they transcend borders, rendering their protection an international duty. There are currently 48 World Heritage Sites featuring rock art around the world, 13 of which are in Africa. Twyfelfontein rightly takes its place as a location of outstanding value to humanity. If you would like to find out more about rock art from around the world, like and subscribe to our channel. Tell us in the comments section what you think about the rock art of Twyfelfontein. More information on rock art can be found on our website, bradshawfoundation.com.